Good morning, good morning, good morning, and happy Saturday to you guys. Whether you are catching this thing now or whether you are catching it on the replay, as you guys are coming in, do me a favor and tell God thank you and type in one thing that you are grateful for on the screens. Today, I am grateful for rest. I'm grateful for peace. And I'm just grateful for honestly just the presence of God being here today. I know I normally go live at about 9:30 on here, but I allowed myself to actually rest a little bit this morning on top of coaching sessions. If you ain't got your coaching session, be sure that you go ahead and take advantage of the coaching sessions being $35. The link is in the description. But welcome to I guess another episode, another video, Daily Manna with T. Today, as you guys can see, the topic is give God time. I feel like today has been like one of those days where it's kind of like the day after you've had like a long week, the day after you've had like an exhausting or even an overwhelming week. It's been one of those days where I've kind of just been getting back acclimated and just getting to a place where I'm not so emotional tired or anxious or antsy. And so this morning has been a very interesting morning. Apart from like the coaching sessions, I sat out here this morning and the Lord began to talk to me about giving him time. Hey, myaniii, blessings to you. And so today's message is just that give God time. I sat out here this morning and it's actually currently sprinkling right now. And I just simply just thought back over my life. And the moment I sat down, I just heard the Lord just say, like, give me time to do what you're expecting me to do. I remember like when it was time for me to move out here to the country, I was living in the city and this was like before I actually moved out here. And I remember like knowing that like I was going to move and just feeling so overwhelmed with, is that a snake? Hold on, y'all. No, it's not. But feeling like I was looking out at the film like, what is that moving? But I remember before I moved out here just feeling like, Lord, I need this, I need that, I need that, and being so overwhelmed because I felt like this is something new that you're asking me to do. And I feel like not only am I just not equipped, but I just don't feel like I'm gonna be able to handle it. And I remember like, that moving phase and pushing to get some of the things that like, myaniii, can you do what you gonna do? But pushing to get like some of the things for the house that I thought I was going to need. And I remember like God not giving me some of those things and the anxiety that like I felt. And I feel like giving God such a multifaceted thing. But in that moment or in that season of my life, what God was saying was, when He wasn't giving me those things, is give me time, give yourself time to get there so that you can figure out what exactly it is that you need. I remember like even being like in my wilderness and feeling like, I didn't understand that season. I didn't understand why the weight was the way that it was. And I remember like those days where I just felt weary, those days where I just felt like God was just not going to do it, or, maybe I would be in that situation forever and a day. And I remember like God telling me, like, give him time. And in that season, for me, God was saying, give me time not only just to prepare you, but also give me time to prepare the way, to actually prepare the things that I plan on giving you. And the devil fought me so much in my mind, which is what I think a lot of us deal with when it revolves around waiting on God, and when it revolves around feeling like isn't giving you something that you need. Hold on one second, you guys. Hold on one second. Okay. Put you in timeout. There we go. Okay, there we go. But I feel like in the waiting phase, when we're waiting on God to do a thing, when we feel like God is withholding, like the last want to hear us give God time, because a lot of times we look at the time that we've been waiting, we look at the things that we've gone through, and we feel like, what have I been doing if this isn't giving you time? And so today, like I sat down and like he reminded me of like when I moved out here, I had so many questions for what God was doing. I had so many unanswered questions that honestly overwhelmed me to like such a degree that it almost made me dread following God out here. And so I sat out here and God reminded me of like just this week and everything that it has entailed, the cutting of the pastures and all these different things that like at one point, like it honestly scared me. And I sat out here and God said, do you see now like what happens when you give me time? When you give me time, instead of like freaking out, you get to see that like I'm a God that takes into account every single detail of your life. Some of the things that I worried about before moving here, God has already done. Some of the things that like I have worried about, like even the temperatures got warmer, it's like for every single thing, when the time was right, God performed. And so I feel like there are so many of us, not just me, but some of you guys that are watching this, whether you watching it today, whether you watching this a year from now, you're that person that feels like, see, I've been waiting. I've been waiting on God to do a thing. I've been trying, and maybe you feel like God is looking over you, or that He's not answering your prayer. Maybe you feel like you're in a place where, right? Maybe you are. Hold on one second, moderators. I don't know where you guys are. Give me 1 second. All right, there we go. But maybe you feel like you're that person. The devil really don't want somebody to get this. I ain't never had this many like spamming comments on this page. But maybe you're that person that just feels like, man, I've been waiting forever and a day. My situation is getting worse, and God isn't opening the door. God isn't doing boom, 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 boom. And maybe you're that person that you looking at like the future of where things are headed, and maybe you looking at your life and you are silently freaking out. Today, your message is simple: give God time. Like, give God time to show up. Give God time to, show you what He's doing behind the scenes. Give God time, to allow for things to unfold so that you can understand it. Because a lot of times we don't understand it until things unfold. There were some things that I went through in my wilderness that in that moment I was upset, I was worried, I was concerned, I was anxious. But like as things unfolded, like certain things began to make sense. Even like for me, like this past week, it's like this was an overwhelming week for me. It was a busy week. It was a week of just having to embrace doing new things. It's like I can even look at this week and see the same thing. Like, man, questions that I had for God, moments of me feeling like I need to understand. Boom, 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 boom. It's like this week just giving God the time that and let it unfold. It answered a lot of my questions. And sometimes, like, in order to see that God is faithful, we have no choice but to wait. Sometimes it is about preparing us for what we believe in God for. And other times it's about God preparing the way. And I'm gonna say this because God told me this. The Lord says we give the devil so much credit, like when it revolves around like, hindering us or delaying us. This morning, God asked me, do you really think that the devil has that much power to like to hold off my timing of things? I'm gonna say that again. God straight up asked me, a lot of times, oh, the devil delaying me, the devil doing this, the devil doing this. He said, do you really think that the devil has this much power? You think that he has the power over me, that if I say that it's time for something, that the devil can just say, I'm going to delay you? Bo, come on here. Now. Bo, get up here. I'm going to say it one more time. God asked me, do you really think that the devil has that much power where he can delay my timing, to where he can hinder what I want to do? Because at the end of the day, even the devil has to get permission from God to do whatever it is that he does. And what's going on, Jasmine? And he never he and will never have the power to dictate the timing of God, the timing that God does a thing, or the thing that God does. And so that's kind of where my mindset has been. I've been really in a relaxed state, just letting God be God and trusting that whenever the time is right, God will do what needs to be done. The questions I have for God concerning my future, a lot of times just letting life flow. He been saying it lately. Just letting life flow will answer a lot of the questions that you have, a lot of the concerns that we have concerning our life. A lot of times, if you just be patient and give God time to do what He's doing in you, to even do what He's doing. I hear you, Lord. To even do what He's doing in things that don't concern. Sometimes if you just give Him time, it'll make sense. I remember He's reminding me in my wilderness, one of the things I was believing God for was living arrangements. And I had been in this season for like 3 years. And I remember like this was like year three, closer to like half years I had been in that season. And towards the end of that season, my car got repossessed. And I remember like feeling like so upset, so hurt by God, and feeling like, man, I didn't wasted 3.5 years and you let this happen. And I just didn't understand it. And I remember like quitting on God in that moment, quitting on God, quitting on the process, and just being flat out over it. And I remember like, feeling like nothing, like I stuck. And so one day the Holy Spirit, told me, give God one more chance. I had hardened my heart, and it was like the moment I opened my eyes, the Holy Spirit said, give God, like, give him another chance. And like from that day, like it's like I could hear God so clearly telling me my path. And I remember the time came and the Lord said, okay, apply for, go and view this apartment. I had a time that it told me about these apartments that she had lived in. And so I viewed the apartments, and there was just like, I just knew like this is where I'm supposed to be. And so I applied. God said apply. I remember applying to this apartment complex and nothing happened. Like I got denied. And so like a day into it, God was like, you need to go down there and you need to talk to him. And so I remember like talking to these people, and pretty much 2 minutes into the office, the manager comes out, the new manager comes out, and she's like, can you pay first and last month's rent? If you can do that, like it's a done deal, like you're good. And I remember some time had passed by. I, am in the apartment, and I had a neighbor at the time. I told TikTok this story, but I'm gonna tell it to y'all YouTube. And I had a neighbor at the time. This neighbor, no pettiness and nothing like that. I'm just about to say what I'm gonna say for just so that y'all can understand. She had been living in those apartments for 10 years. This lady had to have been 10 years, like she was older. And she had been in this apartment complex for 10 years. And this one particular night, she lived like 2 doors down from me. This one night, I was going into like my apartment, and like she stopped me and we had a conversation. And so we're talking, and she begins to like complain. I think the apartment complex at the time, it had a problem. It had a rat problem. That's a whole nother story for a different day. That was how I knew. Like the moment I saw a rat in my apartment, I'm like, yep, I got to get the heck on out of Dodge. And so, needless to say, the apartment had a rat problem. And so we're talking about it. And so she's fussing and fussing and fussing, and she lets it come out of her mouth like, I can't stand that new manager, and da 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 da. And she had told me she had been living there for 10 years. And I remember like standing outside asking her, like, how long has the new manager been here? I don't think anything of it. I'm just trying to figure out how long have these apartments been going downhill. And I remember her telling me the manager came about a month before you moved in. And so like the conversation ended, we both went in our own in our opposite directions in our houses. And I remember that night like light bulbs going off. And I'm like, the manager came a month before I moved in. And so like I'm doing the math, and I'm like, a month before I moved in, my car got repossessed and I quit on God. Like it was a done deal. I didn't want nothing else to do with God. Like I was done. I was done. I was done with the process. I had quit. Right. And it was like in that moment, God began to deal with my heart. That, the devil got you to quit because he had you feeling as if I was not moving, as if I didn't care about the concerns and the questions that you had for your future. The Lord said, but the entire time, it wasn't about, about you being prepared. The entire time I was silent. I was out putting the right people in position. I was out doing things that had nothing to do with you directly, but things that would directly affect you being able to get what I had for you. The Lord told me like that day, like had I not put this woman in position, the no would have remained a no, but I put someone in position. And I'm going to say this, the devil takes full advantage of God not telling us all the details. He tries to. I'm going to say it again. The devil tries full advantage of the fact that he knows that God doesn't give us all the details. And so moments where we're waiting and we have a lot of questions, we have a lot of concerns, in moments where fear is like at an all-time high, a lot of times the devil will try to make us feel as if God is ignoring us, God is rejecting us, or that God just really isn't concerned about the things that we're concerned about. And if we allow the devil to do this, he will trick us out of our spot every single time. And so a lot of times, in those moments, the devil does that in moments where he knows that battles are being won that we can't directly see. That God is moving pieces of the puzzle into place that we can't see. And so that period of time shifted my perspective on I don't know why that truck's so loud, on an entirely different level. And now when I get into those moves where I have a lot of questions, the devil starts. Being in your mind is an open door for the devil to start attacking you. I'm gonna slow down and get this word out. Like being in your thoughts too much, and it's nothing wrong with having a million and one questions, but where we go wrong is where we start to like internalize all the questions, and and we will linger on something about a question. God is silent, and we will continue to linger on it. Like that is an open door for the devil to do whatever it is that he's gonna do. I hope that makes sense. And so what I've learned is that if you want to shut the door from the devil doing that, you've got to learn to, one, with God and trust the process, but two, you've got to learn to not linger on unanswered questions and to just trust that if God knows I have these questions, if I've brought them to him and he's not saying anything, then that means that I need to allow my mentally move forward if I don't want the devil to attack me. And so that's kind of where I am today, just in that space of letting God be God and leaving answered questions at the Lord's feet and trusting that when the time is right, just the same way that he does things when the time is right, when the time is right, he will give me the answers to the questions. Give the Lord time. Give him time. Give him time. Give yourself time to let things unfold in life. Because letting things unfold in your life may be the answer to the very question that you have. Don't let the devil trick you in position by getting you so caught up in your mind that you miss God. Even the devil knows that where the mind goes, the body follows. So if you allow those unanswered questions to become your God, if you allow those, I'm going to say that again, if you allow those unanswered questions to become your God, warfare is going to be at an all-time high and you're not going to be able to hear God's voice. Sometimes all God needs is for us to just relax in the process, relax in the moment, and that he'll lead us, that he'll show us what we need to see whenever it's time. And so that is this morning's daily manna. Like that is the message that God had. I prayed that this met you exactly where you needed it, but more so to apply this word to your life. God don't miss, God don't fail. There's not a detail of our life that is not accounted for by God. There's not a question that we have that will ever go unanswered. A lot of times it's just the timing of when God wants to answer it. If you're on the devil, shut the door on the devil. If you need to recalibrate yourself and reset yourself, reset your mind, do what you do so that you can stay in a place of peace, so that you can stay in a place where you can hear God's voice. And I'm gonna say this because I feel like somebody else needs to hear this. For some people, why you feel like God isn't saying anything to you is because your mind, your thoughts, your fears are speaking louder than your ear to hear God. And so quiet yourself down, get to a place where you can receive it. And I'm going to say this, sometimes we can't hear what God is saying because we've already made up our mind as far as what we want it to be, and how we want things to be. And so, determine where you are. And if you're that person that maybe you're not receptive, maybe you're trying to tell God what you want to do, where you want to go, maybe it may be your sign that you may actually need to sit down somewhere and surrender. And so that is it, man. I love y'all. I am rooting for you guys. Please, if you are watching this, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. I will be back with the Daily Manna probably I'm not coming live on tomorrow, probably on Monday morning. 9:30 is our usual time unless God has a different plan. And so if this has blessed you, can you just simply tell the Lord thank you? If you feel led to sow, the ways to sow are always, they will always be in the description of every single video. In about a second, I'm probably head over, not yet, I'm gonna go work, and then I'll probably be on TikTok maybe in the next hour or so. And so that is it, y'all. If you need to book a coaching session, if you need that one-on-one time to get unstuck, the link is in the bio. Well, not the link is in the bio, the link is in the description. And so that's it, y'all. I love y'all. I am rooting for you guys. If you're sowing, just label this your Give God Time seed. You sow whatever you feel you want to sow into this word. And so that's it, y'all. Till next time. Peace. We'll give it a few seconds and we're gonna go ahead and hang up. And we also got hats and shirts and all different kinds of stuff. Thank you so much, myaniii. Thank you so very much. So, all right, y'all.